What's good, everybody? C4, welcome back to the channel. I wasn't even going to make a video today. My plan was just to record a rebuild. I think we're doing the Atlanta Falcons realistic rebuild. So I was going to have no videos today, and I'll upload for that you guys tomorrow. And I got a bunch of notifications on my phone. Literally, anytime I get if I log in, there's I get the 20 plus notifications. Something's happened with the Eagles, usually. And they have agreed to terms with corner James Bradberry on a 1-year deal worth up to $10 million. Yesterday, I dropped my Eagles prediction video, and there was a couple losses in particular that I predicted they would lose, where I said then the matchup, the reason why I have Philly losing this matchup is because I think the other team's passing offense is going to be too much to handle for this Philadelphia Eagles secondary. I think of Minnesota. You think of Arizona. Those are going to be teams that want to try to throw the football over Philadelphia. And at the current state with just Darius Slay, that's a bad matchup. And then I also said, who knows? We signed a James Bradberry. This secondary goes from, holy, we got Slay and nothing else, to we have two corner ones. Obviously, Slay is a higher tier corner one, and James Bradberry played like a corner one in 2020, but coming off a little bit of a down year, he's going to step in that role as a corner two for Philadelphia. It's going to make life a lot easier for a guy who's only a year removed, only 28, has proven that he could be a starting outside corner, an effective starting. 2020 James Bradberry, I even remember that year. I was like, dude, this guy is an absolute stud. I was very annoyed because at that point in time, James Bradberry, when he became a free agent from the Carolina Panthers, Philly was most Eagle fans were talking about how he'd be a great free agent signing for us. Ended up going to the Giants, and that was always a little bit annoying. But because of their salary cap issues, they had to release James. I don't think the release of James Bradberry was so much due to his play. If there are Giant fans watching, he is coming off a down year, but I'm pretty sure it was just more so their cap situation was certainly less than ideal than this. I would say personally, and obviously now it's a little bit biased because he's on the Eagles. You told me right now, C4, you could have James Bradberry or Adoree Jackson. I'm taking James Bradberry every day of the week, but I'm not 100% sure as to why everything ended the way it did. I just know more so it seems like it was a financial decision than it was a play decision. But what are Philadelphia getting in James Bradberry? So it's a 1-year, $10 million deal. I will say I'm a little annoyed with all these 1-year deals. Kaiser White was a 1-year deal. I feel like, I don't know, especially with Bradberry and Kaiser White, guys that I thought are tremendous signings. Why just 1 year? Let's get it for 2 years or something like that. Options or something like that. But I assume because we don't have a lot of salary cap space, there's probably something, at least a reasoning. Like the 1-year deals are why we're able to get these guys under the salary. I don't know. I wish it was just more than a 1 year. But you know what? For a guy in James Bradberry, which this is going to be an overly positive video because this is the signing we had to make, he is still coming off a down year. And even though he'll be using a different role here in Philadelphia than he was in New York, in case he is dusted and toasted, it's only a 1-year deal. So the risk is mitigated a little bit for the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's take a look here at James Bradberry. Here is his PFF numbers for what it's worth. We will actually also look at his base stats. But he's 28, almost 29, so getting up there a little bit. But age for corners, especially for Philadelphia, we can't really talk much about it because Darius Slay is 30 plus, and he had his best year in a minute last season for Philadelphia. Darius Slay was very good, or Slay. We're just going to call him Slay. But James Bradberry, good player, was good for the Carolina Panthers and was really good in 2020 for the Giants. Last year, again, it's just a bad Giants team. It's one of those things where I didn't watch enough Giants games. You see 60 receptions allowed. That is a lot. He did get targeted. Still had 4 picks, which is, when was the last time a Philly corner had 4 picks? But you just, you look at a little bit of a down year, but then again, the Giants were god-awful last season. So is that a part of it? Probably. But you look at 2020, he made the Pro Bowl. Had a 79, almost an 80 overall PFF grade, which is very high. I looked around just to get a couple other corners here. Kind of seems like if you're like an average starting corner, and you're probably between a 65 and a 70, 75, somewhere in that range. And then anything 75 plus, you're trending towards a legit corner. Obviously, you go to the 90s and crazy things like Jair Alexander territory. You're talking franchise lockdown $100 million corners. But if we can get James Bradberry to even play kind of close to what he did in 2022, that'd be exactly what we need. Exactly, well justified for a up to $10 million signing. But you look at the production here for James Bradberry. I assume he probably became a starter for Carolina. Again, I'm not super up to date on these two teams. Don't watch a lot of Panthers games in particular. But I'm pretty probably just looking at the uptick. Became a starter year 2. He's always been around the football. No season below 10 PBUs. Interception numbers have been solid. It's not the be-all, end-all. It's very casual take saying, look at just the PBUs and the interception. He had 4 picks last year, 17 pass breakups, 47 tackles. I'll take that as corner two. We need to view this not as like there's some teams that were probably in on James Bradberry, and he would have came in and had to be their corner one. I can't tell you at the top of my head what team James Bradberry would be a corner one, but the fact that he seemingly like chose to come to Philadelphia. Like, there's no way Philly was the only team in on James Bradberry. There's no way that Philly's 1 year, $10 million was the far and away best deal. I feel like maybe there's a little bit of James Bradberry wanting to play the Giants twice a year. Probably likes what we do here in Philadelphia, wanted to come to Philadelphia to a certain degree, but he's going to be used as a corner two. And if we're viewing this straight up for the Philadelphia Eagles, Darius Slay is Slay. Slay's on the outside. I have no expectations of him dropping off and play or anything like that. So the easiest way to kind of view this James Bradberry signing is not necessarily to grade him like he needs to be that 2020 Pro Bowl, Giants, 3 picks, almost 20 PBUs, 2 forced fumble type James Bradberry. That'd be awesome if he can get back. That'd be awesome if Jonathan Gannon can use him and utilize him in a way that he can look like 2020. But all we need him to do is he's going up, and he needs to be better than Steven Nelson was last year. And full kudos to Steven Nelson. He was solid last year. He was as bang on average of a starting corner as you can have. And given some of the bad corner play we've had here in Philadelphia, that's pretty good. But we just need to compare whatever we're getting from James Bradberry. Is it going to be, and is he going to offer more than Steven Nelson was last year? Is he going to offer more than who our starter would have been this year if we didn't make the signing in Zach McPherson? And I feel like when you compare it to that, with the optimism that he could get back to 2020 James Bradberry, that's going to set yourself up for like the best feeling about this free agency signing. And I'd be I'd be shocked. I think that's fair to say. I'd be shocked if James Bradberry is worse than Steven Nelson was last year. He fits the scheme, 6'1", 210, big guy, can tackle, can run, 4.5 in the 40 as we saw here. It's a solid signing for Philadelphia, and I feel like look at the available defensive backs that were there, like really outside of maybe, and I just. Even this 1 year, $10 million, like how's that going on the salary cap? But like the only other upgrade to the secondary that I think we could make at this point in the cycle that would have moved the needle to where it needs to be feel comfortable would have been maybe trading for Jesse Bates from the Cincinnati Bengals. And even then, like Jesse Bates wants a contract. That's the issue there. And I don't know how we'd be able to pay him. But then again, Philadelphia was interested in paying pretty big money for Marcus Williams, formerly of the Saints, now of the Baltimore Ravens. So I mean, who knows what's going on that front? But we have James Bradberry. And that is a very good signing for Philadelphia, especially when you look at the corners. I would still like them to add depth. If Xavier Rhodes wants to come in on a 1 year deal, by all means, because if Bradberry and or Slay goes down, we still don't have a lot of depth at corner, and at least in proven depth. You have Zach McPherson, Tay Gowan, who's the player we got from the Cardinals from the Zach Ertz trade. I would like maybe another veteran, and we know Xavier Rhodes can excel in the Colts scheme while Jonathan Gannon was there. So you would assume that he'd be able to plug and play here a little bit. I would like to see that signing for depth, but I don't feel that there's any way you could be upset with this James Bradberry signing. I think there's any way that you could be pumped, absolutely pumped with this James Bradberry signing. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below, but I think for my money, he's a corner one. That's going to be a corner two in our scheme. And while optimism is going to be very high that he can get back to 2020 when he was Pro Bowler and all this stuff, I think if we just strictly put the blinders on and view it in the scope of can you just be better than Steven Nelson, I think that gives him a much larger grace period to be a productive player for us. I'm very excited for how this team's going. And to end this one, man, is there a quarterback? And I've asked this on Twitter, and some people have said Tua to a degree. And, it's kind of fair. So I guess you could pencil it to make it unanimous. Is there a quarterback in the NFC that has more pressure on them than Jalen Hurts? So with signings like this, 1 year deals for someone like James Bradberry, like that is Philly saying, let's go on a run here. Let's try it, man. The NFC could be wide open here. Let's try and go for it. And everything is going to crash and burn if Jalen Hurts doesn't take that next step to his game. So I think the pressure right now is truly immense on Jalen Hurts. I think between the years, though, he's very strong. He's as strong as it gets. So hopefully, he answers that call. Hopefully, Jalen Hurts, I don't need him to be a Pro Bowler. I don't need him to be MVP. Like, there's a lot of, every time you see on Twitter and stuff, like, oh, look at it, Jalen Hurts' MVP odds and all this stuff. I don't need that. I just need a guy that be like a better version of Jimmy Garoppolo. We don't need Jalen Hurts throwing for 35 touchdowns. But if Jalen Hurts can give us 700 yards on the ground, 7-8 rushing touchdowns, give me 3,500 passing yards, 28 touchdowns to 10 picks. Give me something in that range. we could do something here in the NFC. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about this one in the comment section below. That'll do it for me today, guys. We'll see you tomorrow with a brand new realistic rebuild of the Atlanta Falcons. First time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoyed, smash the like button if you're hyped that James Bradberry is a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.